Well, good morning. Thank you guys for coming here. It's nice to be here. My name is Chris Murphy, and I work for the state of Massachusetts 911 department. So we're the people in the state that provide 911 service. If you need help with the police or the fire or the ambulance, you can call 911 and you can get the help that you need. And most people know about 911, and so that's a good thing. But we're here along with my coworker Caitlin to talk to you about some specific programs that the 911 department offers that a lot of people don't know about and that are available to help people, and that's what we're here today. I work for a program under 911 called MassEDP, the Massachusetts Equipment Distribution Program. And what we do is we provide free telephone equipment to anyone in Massachusetts that has any kind of difficulty using the phone. So we work with people that are hard of hearing, deaf, low vision, blind, cognitive, motion, speech, any kind of problem that somebody has that prevents them from using a regular phone. We have special equipment that we most of the time give away for free to help people use the phone more easily. This is not like a lifeline program. This is not the I've fallen and I can't get up thing. These are regular telephones that you can call anybody you want. Anybody can call you. And it just makes using the phone more easy. So, if you need to make doctor's appointments or contact friends and family or get rides or something like that, it provides that lifeline. It's a way to stay independent because being able to communicate on the phone is a big part of that. And so that's what this program provides. It exists so that everybody has access to 911. So that if you are deaf or blind or paralyzed, you can get the help that you need when you need it. But the reality, the day-to-day, is that it really just makes using the phone easier. So, that's what the program does. I'm going to talk about a couple of things today. I'm going to talk about how people can get into this program, and then I brought some of the equipment with me to show you and to give you an idea about what we have and how it can help you. So to get into this program, there are 3 qualifications that you have to meet. You have to live in Massachusetts because it's a state program that the state is paying for. You have to be a Massachusetts resident to get it. You have to have phone service to get this program. We do not provide phone service. We provide the telephone equipment, so you have to have phone service, whether that's a cell phone or whether that's a landline. You have to have that service. My phone service comes from the cable company, and that's fine. As long as you have phone service where you live, it doesn't have to be under your name. You don't have to be the one that pays the bill, but it has to be where you live. You have to have that service already. And then the third thing is that you have some kind of permanent disability or difficulty using the phone. And I want to clarify that for a minute because sometimes I come and I talk about this program and I say disability and people kind of back up and they say, well, this sounds like a great program for people that need it, but I'm not disabled, I'm not blind, I'm not in a wheelchair, I'm not paralyzed. This program isn't for me. And that's not necessarily true. This program is for anybody that has any trouble using the phone at all. So if it's a once in a while thing, we want you to have this equipment. If you have hearing aids and you take your hearing aids out and you can't hear as well without your hearing aids, we want you to have this stuff. I wear glasses, and because I wear glasses, I'm visually impaired and I qualify for this program. When I take my glasses off, I don't see as well as I do when they're on. So, we have stuff for everybody. I don't want anybody to be scared away by that word, disability. It's disability or difficulty. If you can use it, we want you to have it. So those are the 3 things that you have to qualify. Live in Massachusetts, have phone service, and have some kind of disability or difficulty using the phone. If you qualify for those things, what you do is you fill out an application. And that's in that envelope that I passed out to you. These are also available online. You can print them out online. You can't fill them out online, but you can print them from online. You don't have to get it out. I'm going to talk about it. It's a very simple form. You fill out your personal information, things like your name, your address, your phone number. You do have to include a copy of your phone bill when you submit this application. And that way we can verify one of those requirements that you do have phone service in order to get you this equipment. So like I said, I get my phone service from the cable company, so I would just do the first page of my cable bill. It also asks on here about an authorized contact person. And what that is if you have somebody that helps you with things like making appointments or making decisions about things, and you want us to be able to talk to them about you, we need your permission to do that. So that's like a third-party contact there's a spot for that. And then at the bottom of the page, it asks you about your income. And I came here and I told you that this is a free program, and for almost everybody it is. But there is an income cap of $50,000 a year, where if your income is over $50,000 a year, you can still be in the program. You have a one-time copay, and it depends on what kind of equipment you get, how much that is. But usually it's about $30 or $40. And that's a one-time thing. Down the road, you don't have a second copay. It's just a one-time thing. But most people are under that $50,000 income range. And if you are, everything in this program is no cost. You get the equipment for free. We maintain it if it breaks or you need a replacement. We do that for free. We do tech support. We do installation. And all of that is included as part of this program. So that's why it asks you about your income on this form. All you have to do is check off, yes, I make over $50,000, or no, I don't. You don't need to include tax documents or bank statements or anything like that. We trust you. So you're on the honor system. Okay? After you fill that out, you got to bring this to a doctor. And this can be any licensed doctor in Massachusetts. It can be your primary care doctor, which is usually the easiest thing to do. But it could be a specialist like an audiologist, a speech pathologist, an ophthalmologist. A lot of people that have ologist at the end of their name can sign this form. But it does have to be a doctor. It can't be a nurse. It can't be a hearing aid guy. It has to be a doctor. At the bottom of the doctor's page is the most important thing about this application. There are 8 boxes that correspond to the different disability categories that we have in the program. The hard of hearing, deaf, low vision, blind, cognitive, motion, speech, and deaf-blind together. The reason that those boxes are so important is because all of the telephone equipment that we have gets passed out based on what you get qualified for. So what that means is in order to get the best range of equipment that's going to help you the most, you want to get everything checked off that applies to you, even if it's just a little bit. If you wear glasses, get vision checked off. If you use a cane or a walker, get motion checked off. If you're hard of hearing, even if you don't wear hearing aids but you don't hear things as well, get hearing checked off. And that way we'll just be able to match you up with the equipment that's going to help you the best. All right? After you fill it out and your doctor signs it, you're going to stick it in an envelope, which is also in that package, and there are 2 address labels. Based on what boxes you got checked off, you're going to send it to one of 2 places. If you send it to the wrong place, it's not a big deal. They're going to send it to the right place. It just takes a little bit longer. But if it goes to the right place off the bat, it takes about a month to go through the various channels before it comes back to us and we call you and we say, congratulations, you've been approved, let's get you a phone. And we can do that a couple of different ways. If you're a do-it-yourself kind of person, we can ship it to you. You can get it in a couple of days through UPS. If you're comfortable plugging it in and programming it and figuring out how it works, we can do that. But what I would suggest is that you get something called a home visit. And that's where somebody like myself would come out to where you live. We bring the phones with us. We come into your house and set them up, plug them in, program them, push all the buttons that need to get pushed so that when we leave, you're comfortable using it and we're comfortable that it's set up the right way. That's all free. It's all part of the program. And that's what I would suggest that you do. So, that's the program in a nutshell. That's kind of how it works, and that's how we get the phones to you. Does anybody have any questions up to this point? Not yet? Okay. Well, good. Luckily, we're going to be on TV, so she can watch it on a DVR or something like that. All right. So I do have a bunch of different kinds of phones with me today, and I'm going to talk about them because it's one thing for me to come and say we have phones that will help you hear better, and it's another thing for me to tell you exactly how that's going to work. So I brought a little bit of everything with me. This is not everything we have in the program, but it's a good taste. It's a good sample of what we have. I don't want anybody to worry about specifics when I'm talking about them. Don't worry about things like decibel levels or model numbers or anything like that. That's my job, and I need this job very badly. So I will help you figure that out once you get into the program. But what I do want you to think about are things that you like about the phones, things that you think that might help you. And what I mean by that is some of them are better with hearing aids. They're more compatible with hearing aids than others. Some of them have bigger numbers or they're talking phones. Some of them have caller ID and some of them don't. Some of them you can move around with your house and some of them you have to stay stay put with the curly cord. So those are the kind of things that you want to think about so that you, when we call you, once you get in the program, you can say, listen, I wear hearing aids, I don't hear very well, and I'd like to be able to move around my house with it. And that'll give me a better idea about what kind of equipment to bring when I come out for the appointment. All right? The biggest group of people that we work with are people that are hard of hearing, people that don't hear as well as they used to, or if they had a phone that got loud enough, everything would be fine. And most phones you can adjust the volume on, but you can only do that to a certain point. All of our phones are what's called amplified phones, and so it means they get loud to a certain level. Regular phones are about 12 decibels in volume. This is a phone that goes up to 55 decibels, so it's really, really loud. It's completely adjustable, so you can go anywhere between the regular 12 and the 55, because believe it or not, they can get too loud. And if they're too loud, it's hard to understand what people are saying to you. So you want to be able to make it as loud as you need, but not so loud that it's unclear. This is a very simple phone. It's just got the numbers on it, and it's got the arrows, and it does have a curly cord. It's not a portable phone. But a lot of people like that. A lot of people don't want the bells and the whistles and all that kind of stuff. They just want something that they can hear. And if volume is the only issue, this is a great option. This is also the only one that we have that does not require electricity. So that's something else to think about, where you plug your phone in your house. If you have electricity nearby, then you can get anything. But if you don't, this would be the only option that we have. So really loud, really simple. It's a nice combination. However, hearing loss is not just about volume, and so there are other phones that do other things for the hearing. This is another one that has as much amplification as the first one. It goes up to 52 decibels, but it also has a couple of other features. It's got a tone control, and what that will do is it will change the pitch of a person's voice. So it's very common for people to have trouble understanding different types of voices. It seems like high-pitched voices are the most common that people have trouble understanding, women and children. And so you can hear somebody talking, but you can't understand what they're saying because the tone of their voice you're not able to hear. If you've ever got a hearing test, you get that curve on your test. And if your tone is good, you're right in the middle of that chart. But if you have tone loss, you're one side or the other. And so with this phone, you can bring that tone loss back to the middle where you can hear it better, and then you can adjust the volume to get the sound loud enough. This is also very compatible with hearing aids. Does anybody have hearing aids here? A couple of you. So hearing aids can be tough when you're on the phone. Sometimes people say they get feedback on the phone. They put it up to their ear. They get the whistling sound. Other people say it's like somebody's talking in a tunnel. And so using the phone with your hearing aids is difficult. This has something inside of it called a T-coil. And a T-coil is basically a magnet that's in the phone, and you've got another magnet in your hearing aid. And so when you put those magnets together, they link up, and it cuts out the feedback. You don't get the whistling. You don't get the tunnel sound. So a lot of times people take their hearing aid out to talk on the phone because they get the feedback. And then you have your phone call, you talk, you hang up, you go about your day, and then an hour later you realize, I don't have my hearing aid, I have no idea where it is, and you're in another mess that I can't help you with. But what we can do is we can get you a phone where you don't have to take your hearing aid out in the first place. If you're wearing it, it's going to work very well. If you're not wearing it, because not everybody wears it all the time, especially people when they're home by themselves don't always wear their hearing aids, it's still going to be loud and clear enough that you can hear it even without the hearing aid. But it is very compatible. That's my point. That's my long-winded point on that. The buttons on this are a little bit bigger, so it kind of crosses over into the vision as well. For people that don't see the buttons as well, they light up. And then at the top, there's a caller ID screen. And caller ID is a service that you have to pay for from your phone company. I'm not trying to sell anybody caller ID, but what it does is it tells you who's calling you when your phone rings before you answer it. Most of the time, those screens are very small, and so people that have vision, low vision, they pay for that service, but they can't read the screen. It doesn't do them any good. This is just a bigger screen. Just makes it easier to read that caller ID, and that's all that does. We also have these kind of phones available in portable phones, and portable phones are not cell phones. Portable phones have a base that plugs into your phone line and your electricity, and it stays put. But then the handset you can move around and you can take around your house with you. These are special portable phones for a couple of reasons. One is it's got all of the sound stuff that we've talked about. It's got the volume, the hearing aid compatibility, the tone adjustment. This one actually has a button that says slow. And if you push that button, it'll slow down the person's voice that's talking to you. So if they're talking too fast and you're not making out what they're saying, it literally puts a little bit of space in between each of their words. I don't know how it works, but it works. So you can understand it better. But this is also available for the vision as well. For portable phone, this has pretty good buttons. They're pretty big and they're very contrasted. It's got the white on the black so that people can see them better. Portable phones generally have very small buttons because they got to put a lot of buttons in a small amount of space. These are a little bit bigger. It's also a talking phone. So when you push the numbers, when you're dialing, it talks to you and it tells you what buttons you push. So if you're low vision and you're dialing and you're not sure you're hitting the right numbers, it'll talk to you and tell you that you are or you aren't, and you can fix that. With this phone, you can dial before you turn it on. So, sometimes if you don't dial fast enough on the phone, you get a recording that comes on. And it tells you, they can't complete your call and you got to try it again. People that are low vision that take a little while to find each number get that recording a lot. And it becomes very frustrating. With this phone, you can dial the numbers before you turn it on, and you can take as much time as you need to put the numbers in. Then you turn it on and it dials for you. We can also save speed dial to each of the digits, and it's a talking speed dial. So if I put my name and phone number in here, and I hold down the number 1, it would say Chris. If that's who I want to call, I turn it on and it dials. If that's not who I want to call, I push the next button and it says Bob. And so on and so forth. You can save 9 phone numbers in that speed dial, but then you can save like 300 phone numbers in a phone book. So it'll help you with the dialing as well. So the hearing, the vision, the motion, because you can bring it with you. You don't have to jump up and run across your house to get to the phone. It kind of helps with all of those things. It crosses over. This is another phone that we have for the visually impaired or people that are legally blind. This has the biggest buttons I've ever seen on a telephone. I've never seen one that has bigger ones. They're very contrasted. It's got the white numbers on the black buttons, but it comes the other way around too. It's got the white buttons with the black numbers. Some people see that better, so it comes both ways. It's got Braille on the buttons, so people that are blind and they're able to read Braille, they can feel the buttons and know what they're pushing. And it's also a talking phone like I talked about with the portable, so they know they're dialing the right number. It's got the speed dial with the names recorded, but it is stationary and it's got the much bigger buttons on it. This is another phone that we have that sort of looks similar, but what's special about this phone are these pictures at the top of the phone. This is called a photo phone, very creatively. And this is for people that have different cognitive difficulties, things that like Alzheimer's or dementia. Each of these pictures is a memory button, a speed dial. So we put in people's friends and family and they cut out their pictures and they flip up these little buttons and they stick them in there. So then if I want to call my daughter but I can't remember what my daughter's name is, all I have to do is find her picture and I push it and it calls her. You can put the police department on here, you can put anybody you want, but it works with pictures. So really good for people that have different cognitive difficulties. They can still call out, get the help that they need, or just stay in touch. Talk to friends and family. Has anybody ever seen one of these things before? Looks like a what? It looks like a typewriter, yeah. This is actually called a TTY or a teletypewriter. And this is for people that are either severely hard of hearing, completely deaf, or people that are not able to speak. Anything that you do on the phone, if I'm using this and I'm talking to one of you, there's an operator that's in between us. And anything that you say to me, the operator is typing out so that I can read it on the screen because it's meant for people that aren't able to hear. When I want to talk back to you, I type out what I want to say. The operator reads what I've typed and they speak it so that you know what I'm saying. Even if I'm not able to speak, I can still use the phone. So, it works pretty well for people that are in a special situation. However, this is old technology. This has been around since the 70s, and there are some drawbacks to using it. One of them is that the screen is very small, so people that are low vision have trouble seeing it. It's also like if you're watching the news and you get the weather on the bottom of the screen and it scrolls across and then you have to wait another 10 minutes to find it again. It works the same way. The words come across the screen and when they're gone, they're gone. You can print them out so you can go back and look, but on a day-to-day basis, if you're not able to keep up with the words, you have a hard time using it. The other thing is that not everybody is a great typer. And so to have an entire phone conversation where you're trying to find every letter one at a time, it takes a long time. And so they've come out with something newer and a little bit easier to use. This is called a CapTel, or a caption phone. And it's sort of the same idea. If I'm using this and I'm talking to you, there's an operator in between us. Everything you say to me gets printed out on the screen, but this screen is obviously a lot bigger than the first one. It's also digital, so if I miss something, I can use these arrows to go back in my conversation and see what I missed and come back to real time. There is sound with this as well as getting the typing, so I can hear what people are saying to a certain extent, but really what this is made for is for people that aren't able to hear. And so people that want to be able to hear, you're better off with something else. This phone is great, but it's not a magical phone. There are some things that you need to get around when you're getting used to it. One of them is that there's a delay between the words that you speak and the words that get printed on the screen. So when I use this, I find it very difficult to hear what somebody's saying and then read something that's completely different. I can't keep those straight. So what I suggest to people is that when they use this phone, they hold it like this. You don't try to hear anything at all. You use it just like a microphone and you just rely on the words that you're reading, because that's really what this is for. If you want to be able to hear, we have better options for that. But it's a lot faster than the TTY as well, because the operator that's in between us is using voice recognition software. It's better technology. They're not just typing out everything that you're saying. They're using computers that make it go much faster. And then when I want to talk to you, you would hear my voice directly. I just talk back into the phone like I normally would, and you get that, so there's no delay in the operator reading what I've typed and then getting back to you. So, it does work pretty well. There's two models. There's an internet model and a non-internet model. If you have the non-internet model, anybody that calls you has to call a special number first. Otherwise, you don't get the captions. So it's definitely better to have the internet when you're using this. All right, and this is the last one that I have, and this is a very special phone, and we don't give out a lot of them, but I always bring it and I always talk about it. This is a remote control speakerphone, and this is for people that are very, very, very limited with their motion. People that are not able to get up and go to a phone, people that are not able to hold a phone, people that are not able to push buttons on a phone. If I'm using this and I'm in bed over here and my phone is plugged in over there and I'm not able to get up and go to it and my phone rings, all I have to do is push the button on this remote control and it turns my phone on. It's a speakerphone that's pretty loud, so I can hear it even without it being next to me. And there's a microphone in the remote itself, so that when I talk, I don't have to yell. I can just talk in a normal voice because I have the remote with me. It picks up my voice. When I'm done with my conversation, I click it again and I hang it up, and there it is. It's done. When I want to make a call, we program in, however many phone numbers that you have. I just click my button and it starts going through my list automatically. And when I get down to the one that I want to call, I just click it again, it turns it on, and it dials for me. So I don't have to click this 5 times to get to the 5th person. I just click it once, and then again when I get to the person I want to call, it dials, we talk, I click it again to hang it up. So everything I can do on the phone, I can do with this remote control, which is all one button. Now some people are limited with their motion and they're not able to click a button. And so for them there are attachments that go with this. There's one that's a pillow that's like this big. And it plugs into the side of this, and some people bump it with their arm. Other people pin it on their shirt, and they bump it with their chin. Whatever they can do to bump that pillow, it makes this remote work, which makes the phone work. Other people can't do that, and for them there's a straw that will go with this, and they just blow into a straw. And just by doing that, it operates the remote, which operates the phone. So it's very special. We don't give out a lot of them, but it's for people that are in a really limited situation. But I always bring it and I always talk about it because I want you to understand that no matter what difficulty you have using the phone, whether you need something that's a little bit louder or has buttons that are a little bit bigger, or if the only thing that you can do is blow into a straw, we have equipment in this program for you, and any trouble that people have. I think it's a great program. It helps a lot of people, and you're paying for it already in your taxes. If you can use it, you might as well take advantage of that. I'm happy to answer any questions, but my colleague Caitlin is going to talk a little bit more about other aspects of 911.
Good morning, everybody. As Chris said, my name is Caitlin Sylvia. I am the Public Education Coordinator for the State 911 Department. So I work more on the 911 side, whereas Chris works with EDP, and I work a lot with all of the 911 centers that we have here in the state of Massachusetts. So there's 214 of them, one being in Sutton. If you have ever had to dial 911 here in Sutton, it's going to go directly to the Sutton Police Department. And you probably have been greeted by a dispatcher that's asked you a lot of different questions. The first, most important, is where you are, and they're asking that not only so they can send help to you, but that way the officer and first responder safety when they're responding to you. The next thing that they're going to ask you is what exactly is going on. So have you been in a car accident? Do you have a medical emergency? Are your smoke alarms going off? Whatever the reason is that you're dialing 911 is the second most important thing that the dispatcher is going to ask you. And again, that's for not only your safety and so they can come and help you with the situation, but also for the safety of the people that we have sending to you. The other thing, and you probably have noticed this if you've ever had to dial 911, is they're going to ask you a lot of different questions. And we just ask that you cooperate with those questions. I know if you're in an emergency situation, it may seem like it's taking a really long time, or they may be asking you things that you might not think are important, but I promise you there's a reason for it, and it's super important. So I just ask that you cooperate with the dispatcher and just answer any questions to the best of your knowledge. If you don't know, just let them know that you don't know. Okay? A couple features that we had talked about in the beginning that I'm going to explain more in depth that a lot of people don't know about here in Massachusetts. I have handouts as well, so after the presentation I encourage you to come on up to the table and I'm happy to answer any questions. The first is the silent call procedure. So that is statewide, no matter where you go, whether you're vacationing down on the Cape or if you are home in Sutton or wherever you live, if you need help from emergency services and you are unable to speak for any reason at all, you can still dial 911. So a lot of people use this if they're having a medical emergency and maybe they think they're having a heart attack and they can't breathe and they don't want to talk because it'll make them feel even worse or it'll worsen their condition. When you dial 911, you wait for the dispatcher to greet you. They're going to say, 911, this call is being recorded. Where is your emergency? If you say nothing at all, they're going to greet you again. They're going to say that same greeting a second time. If you're still silent, we have what we call the next generation 911 system. That it's going to tell them there is a caller on the line. They're just not speaking. So what they're going to do is they're trained, and again, this is only in the state of Massachusetts, but it is statewide in all of our different 911 centers. They're going to ask you, stay on the line while I check for TTY, and that's the device that Chris had just talked with you about, and that's something on their end that they have to do in case it is somebody using a TTY device. Again, if you just remain silent completely, they're going to say press 1 if you need the police department, press 2 if you need the fire department, and press 3 if you need an ambulance. So if you're pushing the number 1, it's going to pop up on the screen. The dispatcher is going to see that, and then they're going to recognize that. So their next question will probably be, I see that you press 1 for police. If you need the police department, press 4 for yes and 5 for no. So you can have an entire conversation, and then they're going to continue that conversation to ask you only yes or no questions and get you help to exactly where you need it. Does that make sense? So all by communicating with buttons on your phone, never actually speaking, the dispatcher doing all the speaking, we are able to send you help exactly where you are. And that works for a landline or a cell phone. Because when you dial 911 here in Massachusetts, the dispatcher gets an estimated location on the map. So if you call from your landline phone, they're going to get your exact location down to a picture of your house. So it'll say 123 Main Street in Sutton, and it'll be a picture of your house with a little red phone. If you call from a cell phone, it's a little bit different, but it's still super spot on. They're going to get what we call an estimated location, and that will just say they're at 123 Main Street within 5 meters. And it'll again show a picture of like the area you could be in. Since the technology has advanced, it is very, very spot on. So that is one thing, if you are unable to speak for any reason, rest assured that they still know where you are and you will still be getting help. The second feature that a lot of people don't know that we have here in Massachusetts is you can now text to 911. So that went live in December of 2018. And if you And just as if you're sending a text message to a family member or a friend, in the to field, you want to open up your messaging app if you have one on your phone and if you are a texter. In the to field, you want to put 911. No symbols, no dashes, no letters, just the numbers. And then in the message field, you're going to write exactly what's going on and get as specific as you can. So I am at 123 Main Street in Sutton. Somebody is breaking into my home. I need the police. Send. It's going to go through as a green bubble. Once the dispatcher gets that, it's going to pop up on the dispatcher screen. They're going to send you a text back, and then you can go back and forth in an entirely texting conversation. And again, they're going to send you help to where you are. Okay? Again, that is only in Massachusetts. There are other states that have it, but I don't know them off the top of my head, so I don't want to speak. So if you're vacationing in like New Hampshire, Florida, if you have family members, you just might want to check with them. I know Florida, certain counties have it and certain don't. But here in Massachusetts, no matter where you are able to text to 911. A dispatcher or a police officer, whomever is working the desk, is going to answer the text you back, and then you can go back and forth in the texting conversation. So we see that used a lot in domestic situations. If one partner doesn't want the other partner to know that they're dialing, and they may be, up in the bedroom, they may have just had an argument, and one of them is in a different area, they don't want them to hear them speaking, we'll get a text from them, and then the police officers will show up at the home. The other one I mentioned is when somebody's breaking in. If you're hiding in a closet, the last thing you want to do is be pushing buttons on your phone and talking. So if you have a cell phone that has a texting plan, you are able to text. And then the silent call, like I said, is used in medical emergencies, if somebody is breaking in, situations that maybe you're not comfortable speaking. So we've had college kids use it if they're, in a car and they're uncomfortable and they want help, or they need somebody to know where they're going or something like that. They'll call and they'll use the silent call procedure. Those are the two things that are very important, so I encourage you, again, I have handout materials that I am happy to distribute. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have specific to 911 or about these two features. And I encourage you to tell at least 3 people about texting to 911 and the silent call procedure, whether it be, if you live in a condo and your neighbors or your children, grandchildren, whomever you talk to, just let them know that these features are available, and I have tons of handouts that you can take some for them as well. Sound good? All right, thank you.
It's a wrap.
They're all
Thank you.
done.
Fantastic information. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.